I don't know why. Welcome to Grawlix Nights, the Grawlix Podcast live show. I'm Randy.
I'm Melanie.
And I'm Jesse.
Tonight, we're going to talk about the newest Wolverine movie, Reminiscence. That's what that was, right? And it's all the Spider-Mans. There's gonna be all the Spider-Mans. They're gonna point at each other like a meme, and we're gonna talk about it.
Yeah.
Ooh.
But first, what's going on, you two?
Not much.
Almost nothing at all.
Right? Okay. Yes, okay. By the way, hey, Savannah, shout out to our $10 patrons. I always say it wrong. I always call them our Patreons, and that's not, they're our patrons. Over on patreon.com/GrawlixPodcast, Savannah is a cat dancer. She's at the cat dancing tier, in which she gets a shout out every episode. And she said, oh, that's out? I'm so curious about that. She said she watched the Bob Ross documentary on Netflix. That's right. That was out, yesterday, maybe? Yesterday or today that came out.
I'm curious about it too, because I've had students do like papers and presentations on Bob Ross so many times that I'm like, okay, shock me. What could you possibly tell me that some college kid hasn't already told me? But
right. Well, Savannah says it makes you love Bob more, but not want to buy any of his art stuff. And yeah, that's
okay. Yeah,
it's all about intellectual property and the company that actually owns the rights to.
Was it Hobby Lobby? I think Hobby Lobby owns it because they were trying to sell Bob Ross style art classes forever.
No, it's then they had a deal with the company. I mean, the rights holders are very enterprising and smart, but like not his family, and their deal prevented his son from doing art stuff, and it's like, how does that sucks?
Wow.
Yeah.
There's a whole deal. Bob Ross Inc. Yeah, they own his likeness and his name, and because of that, like his son couldn't like do anything that would be seen as competing. It's like, dude, he's a different person.
But he's his own person, and he's an artist. How's he's just not allowed to live? You know, I don't understand.
Paul. Hi, Paul.
Oh, man. Wow.
He says, F Bob Ross. Yeah, I said it. I don't know why.
You're on the wrong side of history, man. That's
Everybody
Bob
loves Bob Ross.
Yeah, he made friends with a squirrel. Come on.
Yeah. And every tree he ever painted.
Yeah.
And no one could beat a brush like Bob Ross. Just got the paint thinner out of there.
Yeah.
There's a good Steve. Hey,
wow,
Steve. What's going on?
Steve doesn't trust Bob Ross.
He doesn't trust that man. Too mellow. I get that. So I've encountered that recently. Somebody that's just like, they're too zen, and it makes me suspicious. But listen, he was a drill sergeant or something. He was in the army.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming he worked all that out. And
well, I mean, like, that's why he got into the painting. He didn't want to ever do that again.
Yep.
Also, off the top, real quick, I want to mention, I think I mentioned it last week. Paul and Steve have got they've got conspiracy theories going on.
They really do. I don't know what's going on here.
They do not trust him at all.
Do you think he has the body of some happy little trees in his closet?
I think I mentioned it last week at the end of the episode. Maybe I didn't, but we're currently streaming using StreamYard, and I'm going to try switching away from StreamYard for a little bit going forward. So we will continue doing the live streams, but they'll look different, and I don't know. I put that on. I turned off my sound, didn't I?
It's more dramatic if you did. Wow.
I did. I don't get, do not disturb doesn't really apply to certain things, I guess. Anyway. So yeah, anyway, the streams going forward will look a little different. I don't know. Maybe you will have to pick one platform specifically to stream on. I don't know what it's going to be. We'll see what happens. Point is, there's going to be some changes. And mainly because if you're a listener of the podcast audio after the fact, you know that our audio for some time now has sucked real bad. And so I need to figure out a better solution for recording it. And I think getting rid of StreamYard is part of that right now. Anyway, that's a little inside baseball, but kind of a heads up.
Yep, it's going to be exciting new frontiers.
Which means we'll probably just stream to Facebook because everyone that's commenting tonight is on Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where all our comments come from. Once in a while, we'll get Maddie D in both Facebook and Twitch as his alternate personality. By the way, hey, what's up, Maddie D, listening in the future in audio? Jesse, you been watching or reading anything? I know you've been busy, but you've been you said you were reading something, maybe?
The only thing that I read recently, and not even recently, but the last thing I read, and I don't think I've talked about it on here, was Masters of the Universe Revelation comic book. I read the first issue, and the second issue is out, but I haven't had a chance to read it yet. And it's interesting, and it gives you more He-Man for everybody that's mad. So if you're mad, there's the comic book.
A new thing to get mad at.
You mean He-Man's actually in it?
He's in it, yeah. And he goes back in time. Spoilers for a comic. And he sees stuff from the past because he went back in time. I don't want to spoil too much. But it does give you some insights. I suppose if they had released this before the show, it probably would have spoiled some things for the show, like because you get to see context on more people that are in the show.
Do you think it sold very well, this tie-in comic?
Like the money? Did you just look it up?
No.
Oh, okay.
I was just asking.
Wow, you're a ninja. Did you
I just wonder?
Did you just low key I know the numbers on that. I don't know. I mean, I assume that it sold pretty well because they did a lot of variant covers, because that's the thing,
Right.
And they had Mike Mignola did a bunch of Masters of the Universe covers, and I'm laughing already because I know how Paul feels about his work, especially on He-Man stuff. So he's not a huge fan. Spoilers.
Paul says the first book was awesome. He's waiting on the second book to arrive. So, yeah, I was just curious because we had talked about several weeks ago when we were talking about the Netflix series and all the backlash, that the review bombing and it seems like everyone hates it. Doesn't matter to Netflix because that very loud voicing is definitely from a vocal minority and of the fan base, really. And the people that actually watched it, the fan base is probably just a tiny percentage of the people that actually watched it on Netflix. Netflix wasn't concerned about that backlash, but I'm wondering, the Joe Schmoes, the regular people, aren't necessarily going to run out and pick up a tie-in comic book,
right?
So
by Dark Horse, are you sure?
I just wonder.
It's not even Marvel. Yeah.
What kind of, if that backlash, that percentage of dissatisfied people, how that translates to the comic sales.
Yeah, I hadn't heard. It must be okay, at least by industry standards, or else it probably would have already, been canceled. If they were just losing money on it, I don't think they would finish it. And like I said, the second issue is out. I could download it on Comixology, so they're still continuing it at least.
So are you saying that most comic book fans are white men that get angry about these changes that they?
I'm not implying anything. I'm just saying that some people.
Well, that's why I ask, because I feel like that's, the Netflix series isn't limited to the comic book reading demographic.
Right.
That said, or are the people that typically get that mad about all these things, the SJWing of everything and all that, do they still just buy and watch this stuff anyway because they want to be mad? They want to hate watch it, hate read this comic, I wonder if it's almost.
I think it's just like
That's
Pokemon.
a YouTube video right there.
Yeah, I think it's like Pokemon, and they just have to have them all, even if they don't like them.
We'll get into this a little bit. We're going to talk about we're going to talk about What If a little bit. Melanie and I have only watched the first 2 episodes, and Jesse, I think you said you only watched the first one. But the fact that they chose the first one to be the first one makes me think, man, these companies know what's going to make that audience mad, and they just lean hard into it. It's like we were talking about with Masters Universe Revelation, the fact that Netflix split part 1 and part 2, which was not like the show creators' plans. They split it into those parts. I was like, that's strategic. They know at the end of part 1. Outrage. Yep.
Mm-hmm. And the outrage will get them in the news, and then people will be like, oh, I have to check out the controversy.
Paul, okay, for future Matt listening, Sir Matty of the McD, he says, and where's Matthew while a comic book talk is happening?
Yeah, we're actually talking about a book that you could read. It's weird. I don't know how I feel about it. With your eyes, yeah. Braille, if you'd rather.
I suppose.
Do they really have comic books in Braille?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Wow.
I feel like the visual aspect would be.
Yeah, I mean, they'd have to have raised pictures, I'd assume, or like a little bit, but still, I don't know. Yeah.
Braille novelizations of comic book arcs. Is that a thing? Because that should be a thing.
It really should be.
Like comic book, it depends what you're reading and what you're reading it for. The visual aspect is a big part of the appeal, but man, some of those stories are real good, and they're worth being told as simply a story without the visual aspect too. So interesting. I don't know anything about the world of Braille, so there's maybe that's a thing that exists already. If not,
it was already. We want money.
Yeah, give us money.
I'm kidding.
I can't see it happening.
Oh.
What else we've been watching or consuming lately? Melanie and I know we keep bringing it up, but we finally finished Harley Quinn, the animated series.
Oh.
We just finished season 2. Season 3 is happening, but as far as I could find, there's not a set date yet. Late this year, early next year. It's great.
Yeah.
The show's great. I know I've been kind of saying it for a couple weeks now since we've been watching it, but I'm glad there's a season 3, but unlike the end of season 1, if it ended here, it's actually a pretty satisfying, complete arc, I think.
I agree.
It was a solid ending. And season 2 is interesting thinking. I feel like season 2 is a little reeled in compared to season 1, and not necessarily like they had to tone it down, but I feel like season 1 was intentionally way over the top with the violence and the language and the adult stuff because, it's like, whoa, we could do adult stuff. And it's not that some of that's not there. There's the violence and language in season 2, but I feel like season 2 is many of the characters are much more defined, and it just becomes almost sitcom, focus on the characters. I mean, there's overarching arc. It's not reset every episode or anything, but the focus becomes more about characters and relationships than just big adult humor. So that's kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like when HBO first launched Game of Thrones, and it was just like, we're gonna do all of the stuff that's in the books, the nudity, the violence, the more nudity.
Wow, that first episode of Harley Quinn, the opening scene, they throw so many f-bombs. Like Harley Quinn and Joker both throw out so many f-bombs. It sounds like a teen, like a young teen who's just like trying to be cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like the show kind of grows out of that a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
They do. There's one word they bleep.
Oh my, the Grawlix did.
There's one
They
word they
did.
Grawlix. That was kind of a recurring thing during the first season, which I appreciated. It was humorous, but yeah. Otherwise, it's
And I love the weird places that they take some of the characters to that you just wouldn't expect them to be, and it's very interesting and fun.
Paul asks, "Have you seen the promos for Last Man on FX? Are you
that-
talking Why the Last
Why
Man?
the last?
I'd seen one, the first promo they released. I haven't seen any further ones, but he says he asked because it looks like it might be Last Man on Earth, but modern.
Did we review that trailer?
We talked
Thought we
about
did.
it. Mhm.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It might have been brief, but yeah,
Yeah,
we talked
probably.
about
I
it.
mean, I'll just reiterate that it looks awesome. I mean,
Mhm.
I'm glad they're doing it as a TV series and not as a movie, because I
Mhm.
thought they were talking about making it a movie, and I don't know how you do that.
Mm-hmm.
Sir Matty of the McD. What's going on? That's his name now. I decided. Oh, I debated on Sir Matty of the Double D's, but we'll go with McD.
Yeah.
What's up, Matt? Tuning in from YouTube.
Wow.
Wow.
That's a lonely place over there.
Mhm.
Hey,
Yes.
is there anything else since Matt's there? I don't know how long he'll be sticking around. We'll segue into some Spider-Mans in a moment. Anything else you guys want to talk about before we do?
No.
Okay. Well, since Matt's here, that reminds me, Matt sent me an email, and I'm going to read little pieces of it, if that's okay. I'm assuming some of this is for that.
Mhm.
But he was asking about the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer, which I'm sure everyone has seen. In fact, it shattered view records, so everyone's seen it multiple times.
Some people saw it before we saw it because it was leaked.
It was leaked, and I did not see the leaked version.
I didn't either.
It was leaked, and then it seems like they released the official one at a weird time. It seems like screw it, just put it out type deal.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But it has been viewed, according to a report from Deadline. The trailer has been viewed 355.5 million times in the first 24 hours, which demolished the previous record of 289 million views, which was for Avengers Endgame trailer. So
I think it's weird that they keep track of trailer views like it's like box office or something. And, they're like, this has the most views ever.
it doesn't surprise me that the companies or the marketing would be interested in that. Marketing loves analytics, and
Data.
Yeah.
and if a trailer gets 355 million views, that's a good indication that there's some hype built up for it. On the flip side, or if the comment section is a horrible cesspool, then maybe it's an indication of that people are not happy about it. But that does not seem to be the case here.
Mhm.
So let's talk about the trailer. Here's what Matt had to say. Doctor Strange is in it. He loves this version of Doctor Strange. He's really digging that this might be one of the events that really pushes the Phase 4 multiverse storyline. Yeah, I mean, all their stuff, they're all, I mean, WandaVision less so, and okay, maybe not everything, because Falcon and Winter Soldier not so much, but between Loki and this, and the next Doctor Strange is the multiverse of madness thing. Like they're really, and What If? They're really embracing. And I
Yeah.
mentioned What If, even though it's animated, because they are clearly playing on the established cinematic universe.
Right. They basically have done like trimmed down versions of movies already. Just like, oh, here's the tweaks, but it's basically the same movie you've seen, only with this character in charge.
Doctor Strange's hair looks weird in the trailer. I think it looks a little wiggy. It looks fake, but also like, what's up with his outfit? He's in like sweats and a hoodie, but he's still got the cape, of course.
Like the Sanctum Sanctorum is like just like ice, right?
Yeah,
like it's just like, wow. That's
weird.
what happens when you break a Infinity Stone, I guess. Like what happened there? Like, do we have an Infinity Stone now, or like is the Eye of Agamotto just not even a thing? Like, I don't understand what's happening.
Yeah.
I'm gonna skip number 2 for a moment. His third point, he really likes Tom Holland's portrayal of Peter and Spidey. Definitely captures the feel of the character. Captures the feel for the character that I've read in the past. I kind of love his Spider-Man. He might be the best Spider-Man, live action Spider-Man.
I do like, just overall, this trailer does feel the most Spider-Man of all the Spider-Man movies we've gotten from the MCU. Not that they haven't been good. I've enjoyed them all, but they've all been so Iron Man heavy that you lose Spidey a little bit, just a smidge, because he's always got like some crazy Iron Man tech or something. It was like, that's the thing about Spider-Man. He's essentially a guy in tights with some fancy web shooters and some superpowers. I mean, like, I'm trying to make him sound so down to earth. They're like, it's just a guy. He's just a man in the world.
Just a regular man with spider powers.
Busiest city in the United States with some superpowers and some web shooters. He's a man.
He's a regular everyday Joe.
Spider-Man. That's why it's part of his name. He's just a Spider-Man.
Doing what a Spider-Man can.
yeah, spin a web.
What was I about him? Oh, just in general about the trailer. Like, the Spider-Man movies, I remember being super disappointed with the first Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie. I don't know why. I've revisited it. It's not bad, but it lacked. Yeah, I was like, that's before I was like more aware of comic stuff. But I was like, Sam Raimi, Evil Dead Sam Raimi, this is going to be awesome. And then it's very like stylistically, it's very kind of, it's what it should be. It's just a big budget, pretty well done superhero movie. Spider-Man 2 though.
Yes.
All you need to do is give me a little bit of Sam Raimi, crazy camera, like that Doc Ock, that horror scene in there, the Doc Ock arms attacking those doctors. So good. Pure Sam Raimi. And in general, like, I think it is just a better movie. It's more interesting. The third one's whatever.
Yeah.
But then, the Andrew Garfield ones, I watched the first one. I was like, this is not great. I never watched the second one. So I've never, like...
I didn't totally hate the first one, but then the second one happened. And I was like, I don't even like the first one now. Oh.
Retroactively?
Retroactively. It's bad. It's all bad.
Yeah, I didn't care for the first one, so I didn't even bother with the second one. But, so, like, I never really thought of myself as, like, I'm not one of the, like, hardcore Spider-Man fans or anything, especially when it comes to the movies. But watching this trailer, I was like, I'm kind of a sucker for these current Spider-Man movies. I don't know why. I love them. I've made Melanie watch the other two, even though it's definitely not her speed.
I think it's the British. They make when they pretend to be American, it makes things much funner or something. Or much more fun, excuse me.
Andrew Garfield's the same thing though.
All of the actors now are, or at least the superhero ones, almost all of them are foreigners taking our jobs. No, I'm sorry.
those foreign English actors coming over here taking our superhero jobs. Where do they get off?
Probably in New York, because that's an international airport. They're just men. They're just men. Usually.
In tights. Tights.
Yeah. With superpowers. They're just Spider-Men.
Paul says, I wonder if we get Emo Parker in this new movie. Get a dance off between him and Zemo.
I mean, Toby Mcguire's got to be too old to pull that off. He was too old to pull that off in the movie he did it in.
There's no age in which he could pull that off.
Right.
There's also a weird, and I don't know, maybe it's like for the actor, but there's a weird anti-Toby Mcguire Spider-Man general feel I get from a lot of people online. Man, Toby Mcguire I thought was great, at least at the beginning. I mean, it's debatable that like the character in the third Spider-Man movie, but he seemed like a pretty good casting at the time.
Yeah, he was fine.
And people, in retrospect, kind of hate on it, but that seems, I don't know, strange to me.
It's so funny.
More age appropriate to what I kind of considered Spider-Man, where he's young enough, where he doesn't really have a good footing in the world, but he's out of high school, or at least getting out of high school, going into college. Like, he's not a teen.
Right.
And maybe that's from the 90s animated series. I have that concept of not teen Spider-Man, but
sure, more of college age Peter Parker who knows the Lizard as his professor or whatever.
But Tom Holland, I think, is a good. So Andrew Garfield seemed too young to me, or at least they were trying to play him too young. Maybe that's why it didn't work. He didn't seem quite young enough. But Tom Holland's fine. He's just
he pulls it off.
Overly
I believe
likable. Yeah, that it doesn't matter. It's fine. He could be teenage Spider-Man. It works.
I also like that they actually gave him a Bronx accent at first. Like when we first met Peter, he kind of had a little bit of New York accent to him, and I was like, "Oh, I forgot about that because we've never had it."
Right?
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, he lives in the Bronx. He would have an accent, and that would play into his interaction with Cap. So,
okay, so let's get into the good stuff though. I was putting it off. Matt says we get the makings of a Sinister. Oh, he's theory. Here's his theory. His not so conspiracy theory. We get the makings of a Sinister Six story. We get Doc Ock, a hint at Green Goblin, and he says he's stretching a little for the next two. But you know what, Matt? I've seen lots of people comment this exact thing. Possibly a Sandman and Electro. He said he's speculating that only because the trailer shows what seems like a sandstorm and lightning bolts. And I've seen other people mention specifically a very yellow lightning bolts, kind of how they portrayed Electro, I think yellow, in the in the second Andrew Garfield movie. And I didn't think much about it during the trailer, but like people post stills and like, oh yeah, like when it's not just chaos, that does look like sand blowing around. So it makes. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, but I bet they don't have a Spider Pig.
probably not.
Yeah, we're some
But I
Spider-Man.
mean, multiverse, you know.
Yeah.
Spider Pig.
It's something. Okay, so the trailer, the Doc Ock is the one that like you're like, oh, they're really doing that. They're really doing that.
Yeah, well, yeah. Can't refute that one.
Yeah, and he looks a little weird, but they have to de-age him a little bit because it's been like 15, 16, 18 years, something like that, since he was Doc Ock. But
Last time we saw him was in Frankenstein's Monster Frankenstein.
yes. The thing I noticed though, and I don't know if this has been confirmed or not, I kind of hope it is. Hopefully it's not a sound like, but when you see the Green Goblin little bomb thing bouncing on the ground, that's a Willem Dafoe laugh. Or like a little, whatever, I can't do it. I'm not going to attempt it again. Stop asking. But he does like that cackly, that little thing. Pure Willem Dafoe.
Yeah, and he seemed like,
I love that.
I've seen an interview with him about it, and he seemed to love it. So I wouldn't be surprised if he come back to play a little bit.
Right. Yeah, because he's talked about it. Because he agreed, like Spider-Man was before all movies were superhero movies, so it still had that like tinge of his other prestigious Hollywood actors would be like, why are you doing that Spider-Man movie?
It'd be great if they threw some Disney money at his costume, though.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, you could have him in there and he could just do voiceover. Really, I mean, it'd be a little disappointing if he's in the movie not to see his face, but also he hasn't aged. He looks the same all the time.
It's true. Yeah.
When you have that much character in your face, it's just always been there.
His face went to Juilliard.
It's acting. So here's the other interesting. Okay, two things I thought. Two like potential negatives is when the trailer started. I was like, man, they like I get it, but they always have to team him up with something. He's like he always has not that Strange is coming across in the trailer as like the mentor role, but he's got to have that somebody. Like it's either Tony Stark or what's his name? Samuel L. Jackson. I can't remember the character's name off the top of my
Fury,
head.
yeah.
Fury.
Or Happy.
or Happy. Or yeah, which is fine. I get that. Like he's a young kid and he doesn't that's his whole thing. Like he lives with his Aunt May. He doesn't have that male figure. But it's interesting that they gotta pair him again with a prominent superhero in the rest of the Marvel universe, but that's fine.
I mean, I'm kind of there for it because Peter and Doctor Strange, they cross paths all the time. So it's kind of fun to see this happen on the big screen because there's just so much Spider-Man and Doctor Strange out there. So, and that dynamic's fun because Peter and Doctor Strange, they're just not the same kind of people,
Even in this, it's interesting because I mean, Cumberbatch's Doctor Strange he's kind of a d-bag. He's
Remember his movie? He was awful in that.
He's a jerk.
He was unlikable the whole way.
So like almost more so, like Tony Stark is brash and arrogant, but he's still has a heart and stuff.
Right.
Not that Strange doesn't, but Strange just doesn't seem to care about anybody, and he doesn't care to hide the fact that he just doesn't care.
Well, he's a doctor, and doctors are good at being at shutting off the emotional
detached.
side. Yeah.
He's a surgeon at that.
Right.
Okay, so some of Paul's comments are tying into Maddie D's next point. We used to do a recurring segment, which was basically just Matt's emails. I was going to say, this is like a new segment. And a list episode in one. Oh my gosh. Okay. Matt says it's the multiverse. Okay, so Loki series flat out told us there's multiverse. WandaVision saw a way to warp reality to someone's thoughts, which is a little like creating a multiverse reality. Mm-hmm. He submits Doctor Who's episode Left Turn from the Dr. Donna season as an example of reality changing on someone's whim. Okay, yeah, that's... Plus the next Doctor Strange and Ant-Man has multiverse or a hint of that in the titles. Yeah, I mean, they're definitely rolling into that. And Paul is saying there are rumors of Deadpool and Kingpin as in Netflix, portrayed by the Netflix series actors.
I mean, Daredevil, obviously.
Daredevil, not Deadpool. Okay.
Sorry. I mean, they could just throw him in anything, but like that would be a little too much for this.
Some what's D'Onofrio and Charlie Cox. That's his name.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. There's rumors that they're going to make appearances in here.
What about a spider buggy though?
There better be a spider buggy. No, here's what there better be, because the other big rumor, and I feel like I've seen things that are like, it's leaked or set pictures of everyone in their costumes, and I'm like, I don't know, whatever. But the other two Spider-Mans, right? Toby Mcguire. There's rumors that it's gonna be Toby Mcguire and Jerry Maguire. He's gonna be like, "You complete." So Toby Mcguire and
Show me the money.
Andrew Garfield, who hates Mondays, are just gonna make weird mental connections to these names.
Yeah.
They're gonna be in it. So here's my thing: if you have a multiverse Spider-Man live-action movie, which is a big deal, nobody's done that. It's weird, and you don't,
especially not Sony. Especially not Sony. Sony's never done that with Miles Morales or anyone else.
I said live action. Live action.
Okay, fair enough.
Because you know what that movie did do? This thing in the end credits. If they have 3 Spider-Mans and they don't do a recreation of the Spider-Men pointing at each other memes, the 3 Spider-Men pointing memes, this movie's dead to me if they don't do that.
Yeah.
It's going to be so stupid, of course, but you have to do it. Culturally,
it almost would be worth a part 2 if that's how they ended it. It would almost be worth a part 2. It was like No Way Home, and at the end, it's just the Spider-Mans all.
The other 2 Spider-Men need to pop out at the end, and then they like start accusing each other of things.
Did you do it?
Did
you do it?
Even if they just made it like a little teaser trailer thing with it, that would be fun too. So, but you know what else they should do? If they're gonna bring in like D'Onofrio and stuff, they should bring in Tennant, and then it'll tie into Doctor Who, and our worlds will be complete.
Purple Man. MCU's not ready for Purple Man.
Purple Man shows up. Purple Man is a little too hardcore for MCU proper.
Yeah,
but Purple Man shows up and is like, "My real name is the Valyard," and then we're there. Then Rose Tyler runs out.
Metacrisis Tennant is Kilgrave.
Metacrisis. Doctor Who is a comic book. Even the TV show is a comic book. You got a character like Metacrisis Doctor.
Yeah. That's the only thing that they haven't done in Big Finish that I really wish they would do is more Metacrisis Doctor. That's what I want. More Metacrisis.
Okay, Paul's got some conspiracy theories. Not conspiracy theories, but going back, he says, go back and look at this Doctor Strange. He doesn't seem like himself. Maybe Strange is a Skrull, and Phase 4 is Secret Invasion and King the Conqueror.
Clearly it's Mephisto, and I'll have none of this.
Well, after
I feel like that kind of conspiracy, don't lose what you're going to say, Melanie. I feel like that kind of conspiracy theory, now we can officially do one of those YouTube thumbnails that has like a screenshot with a big red circle and something that's clearly wasn't in the original screenshot, just barely visible in the back of it. Sorry, go ahead. What were you going to say?
After Loki, if that's we're going along with that happening and creating multiverses, or because it's all connected, then any movie that we watch, we can't assume really that that's even our people that we're following. It could be anyone from anywhere, and so what goes on there isn't even necessarily tied to what we consider like the main timeline.
Right. That's and that's what the beginning of the Loki series, that was kind of my thing. It's like, well, I mean, none of that matters anymore. It could be somebody else now. It's the whole Rick and Morty thing. I mean, at this point, it really doesn't matter. But when they did the thing where it's like they ruined their reality, so they just sidestepped, killed the Rick and Morty of this other reality, and that's where they had been living. And now they're so far beyond that. It's ridiculous. But it's like, that's not even the family we started with.
Yeah.
Or the plot of your favorite movie, Morty, is dumb.
Right. Paul also says, what if No Way Home refers to the other Spider-Man getting stuck in our timeline? I don't think they'll do that.
What you're forgetting here is that Tom Holland is a Skrull. He's a Skrull. He leaks the plots of all the movies. Marvel, Disney can't control him. Oh. No, actually, Tom Holland is a Skrull. He is a Skrull.
Not Peter Parker, the actor. Tom Holland.
Whoever this guy that pretends to be Peter Parker, he's a Skrull. It's clear.
There were some
devil.
there were some mildly fun memes on Twitter the other night about, basically it was a lot of like, so all this, they're going to blame all this multiverse stuff on you, Doctor Strange, right? And, you know, as if Loki and Sylvie and Wanda are saying that. And he's like, sure. So, listen, it's a meme. Okay, memes don't work if I try to describe them with my voice. You have to look at a meme. Okay, I regret it bringing it up. And finally, Matt says it's a multi-suit Spider-Man story, which somebody else mentioned being super excited for Black Suit Spider-Man. You also see that his like Tony Stark Endgame octo leg Spider-Man suit. So yeah, that's cool. I like it. I like the different spider suits. Black suit Spider-Man's always pretty cool, except for when Spider-Man 3 made it less cool.
It's true. And they made it all silver. It's like, it's black suit, but it's silver. It's got all the crazy webbing. It was like, how'd you mess this up?
Oh.
I Iron Spider, you noob. I don't care. I don't care. Well, what's Black Suit Spider-Man's name? Probably Black Suit Spider-Man. And that's the only Spider-Man that
unless
matters.
it's a symbiote Spider-Man suit, in which case it's a black suit symbiote spider suit.
Then it's Venom Spider-Man. All symbiote things are Venom something.
Yeah.
That's my rule.
It's a Venom something. King in Black Venom something. That's a storyline I haven't read.
I think all the superheroes are way too concerned about fashion. They just need to go and get it done.
They are very concerned about fashion. I feel like part of that is, you know, coming from a comic book medium where it's artists and they're like, yeah, I want to design something cool. And then also toys. Oh, so many toys. Right. We need a different suit partway through this movie. What? Why? That doesn't make sense. More toys. Okay, fine.
Yeah. How many Funko Pops can we make?
I mean,
that's not nearly enough.
That's why Batman's suit in the Schumacher, like, that's why there's so many versions of the Batman suit from the first movies or all the movies, all of them.
They just need to throw more belts on them, and then, you know, then they're good.
It's a very 90s way to do it, too. It's just like, here's a belt.
Oh, also, Vulture is going to be in this. Michael Keaton. Because Michael Keaton, because people are like, so wow, Vulture's going to be in Spider-Man with all these, you know, of course, his character didn't die.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But he's also going to be Batman in The Flash, or in the Flash movie again.
Mm-hmm.
And so people are like asking about like, whoa, what's the deal? And he's like, I don't understand any of this multiverse stuff. I'm just
That's the best way to answer it. That's the best way to answer it.
Yep. He just he doesn't get it. He's like,
I don't care.
I
don't care or no.
It doesn't.
And then Sean Gunn's over there like, I was a weasel and a Ravager.
Right.
I was 2 or 3 characters in Suicide Squad, and I was in other movies too.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Rooker and all these people that love to make money are in shows.
Here, I'm going to explain a meme again. Paul just sent me a thing. Paul just sent me a thing.
Can this be a new segment? Because this is the best.
Paul just sent me a thing, and there's a picture of Tom Holland looking concerned. And the caption is, Tom Holland realizing that the No Way Home trailer got leaked. And then there's a picture of him looking relieved. And he says, Tom seeing he wasn't the one to leak it.
Ah.
Because he leaks lots of stuff. Because he's a Skrull. Jesse said it.
Thank you. You beat me to it.
Man, who'd have known we'd done easily 30, 40 minutes on Spider-Man trailer. Melanie should... I can't even get it. Like, you made such a short, quiet little sound that said so much.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. It's just, you know, Spider-Man's not necessarily my thing, so.
Well, is your thing remembering things?
It depends on what those things are. If it's useless and we're not talking about it, then I'll remember it. If it's
That's a good point. Well, do you remember Reminiscence, a movie about remembering things?
The only thing I remember about it is that it's got Hugh Jackman in it.
It's got Hugh Jackman.
Yes.
Okay, well, I won't spend since you don't remember it, and I'm assuming Jesse, you haven't seen it.
No, but Hugh Jackman is also a Skrull.
He is. Melanie and I watched Reminiscence last weekend, and it's a new Hugh Jackman movie. I believe it hit theaters, but it's also on HBO Max. Of course, that's how we watched it. And it's got several people. It's got what's her name? I can never say her. I'm gonna say her last name, Newton. She was in Westworld, and she's great.
Oh yeah.
She's in it, and also some lady, something Ferguson. I don't know why I didn't write down her first name. She was in Doctor Sleep as the hat bad guy person, and she was also pretty good in this.
Yeah. They both. I think both of them are very good actresses, and they did a good job in this also.
Yeah. No, the acting was solid. So, just real quick, it's a sci-fi thriller, but it's kind of a film noir sci-fi thing that takes place. I really like the setting because it takes place after like global warming effects are really hitting hard to where, the ice caps are melting and sea levels rising. So most of the time we're in, I think it's supposed to be Miami or some city that's like all the streets are flooded out, but the buildings are still there. People still live there. So like, it's a whole Venice thing, like everywhere. And that's kind of how people live. And it being film noir, like it's super, like the dialogue is I've seen a lot of complaints about the dialogue, and I'm like, yeah, it's cheesy at times, especially because they even do the voiceover. But I'm like, but it's like purely film noir. Like maybe they could have toned it back, but they were like really going for it. The weird thing is, because of the setting, they flip. Like everyone, basically, the city sleeps during the day because it's hot, and then comes out at night, which sounds perfect for a film noir movie. Except like they also then appropriately flip that so that most of the scenes of the characters takes place during the day. So it's pretty brightly shot and lit. A lot of bright daytime scenes for film noir, which is odd.
Well, that's because everything is flipped, so that's night now. So they have to be out when it's night because that's that's how they do. But now it's daytime.
Right. But the big sci-fi concept, other than that, is they have a machine where you can record memories, basically, and then relive it. And he's not like a detective or anything. He got into it through it's a thing technology that was developed during a war for interrogations. But now it's just like it's kind of recreational. Like people will come and like to relive this memory because they record it, and then you can relive it like you're there. But it gets a little bit detective-y in that then he can like check out people's memories, like one
of the things they use it for, and this is kind of what brings them into the whole issue anyway, is like if you forget where your keys are, and you can go in, they can relive your memory and see where you dropped your keys, even though you didn't actually notice it. Your brain would notice it, so it would still be there in the memory, so that you can find them.
Yeah, the conceit is like your brain like catalogs the whole everything happening. It's just if you weren't paying attention to it, you can't really recall it, but it's still there in your memory. Yeah, and then mystery and intrigue and femme fatale. Overall, I'd say it's good. The reviews, like the Rotten Tomato score of it, at least when I wrote up a kind of a little review, was like 38%. I was surprised. I was like, oh. But I think it does suffer from it doesn't have a lot of personality on its own, so it's not super memorable. Matt says, I just checked the fridge. He usually leaves the keys by the bottles of beer. And the end, and I won't spoil it, but the end is a little disappointing. It kind of undermines some characters, and while I like the idea of what they did, the execution is kind of like, just, I got hung up on a stupid thing. That's like, it seems like a stretch to me, but it's not the point, I guess.
Yeah, it's forgettable, obviously, because I forgot it, but it's still good. It's kind of like what am I thinking of? They're Robin Williams movies when he's being serious, and it's not comedic. I forget all of them, but I remember them as being good movies when I did watch them. Like What Dreams May Come. I know that was a good movie. I remember really liking it, but I can't remember a lot of it. And similar things like that. I feel like this is one of those movies, like, it was really good, but I don't really remember anything that happened, and it's not something I really want to watch all the time either.
This is totally, if such a thing still exists, but of the afternoon movies, those movies that are on TV, you come across it some random afternoon, and you're like, oh yeah, I remember this movie. This was pretty good. I'll watch this. Like, that's this movie. It's a great afternoon movie, I think, but I don't think it's something that's going to stick out for a lot of people in their minds. That said, like, it's a recommend. I give it 3.5 stars. I think it's pretty good and worth watching. And it's got some really cool ideas.
Yeah.
Just like, if they would have, I don't know, if the atmosphere was different, like the story wants to be brooding and dark, and if it just had a more intense atmosphere, I think it would have, like, it just needed a hook is all. And it didn't really quite have it.
So
acting, though.
One argument against making it more intense is this sounds like something that they added to Ready Player 2, the book, but then they added a bunch of other nonsense. And like, this was the science of this was actually more interesting than most of the stuff that was in the book, because then it just dives into Easter egg territory again, kind of thing.
Oh.
Let's go to the Prince planet. Know everything about Prince, because we have to know everything about Prince because it's a new contest, kind of, that kind of thing. But the really cool sci-fi element was that they took the Oasis and they were like, hey, you can record something that you're experiencing in the Oasis, and now other people can experience it, like recording a memory.
There was one time during this in which the main character leaves a scenario, leaves the situation so that he could pursue the mystery or the plot. And I was like, no, I don't care about the plot. That was interesting. Go back and explore that idea further. So that happens a little bit. There's one or two times where I'm like, I'm more interested in like exploring that concept than I am the whole plot thing. So that's not a great sign. Yeah. Matt asked, did it need a hook or 6 claws? If he was more grizzled and a better fighter, like, he is not a good fighter in this movie,
No,
it would
he's
be
not.
an interesting, like, you could mentally, like, shuffle it somewhere between Old Man Logan or before Logan or something. I was trying to make it work in my head before this, and I was like, nah, it just doesn't work. He's not competent. Like, he's not a good fighter in this.
Well, maybe they were just trying to make the women look good, because I'm pretty sure he got saved by women at least twice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it? Let's see. I don't know where Prince Planet came from. Is it Prince Planet or planet from?
There's a planet. There's a planet
for
Prince in Ready Player 2.
Oh,
because remember, in Ready Player 1, you could go to different different parts of the Oasis.
I never watched or read it.
Oh,
yeah.
So it's basically like an interactive video game universe where you can go to different places that are all pop culture themed. So Prince has his own planet in the future.
I see. Okay, I don't have too much more to say about Reminiscence.
No.
My reviews are always this way. Like, I focused a lot on my nitpicks, but overall, it's a good movie. You should watch it. So that's how I do. 55 minutes. I suppose we could wrap it up here.
Yeah.
I didn't have too much for news. Let's do one news story. Doctor Who's new showrunner. Oh wait, I mean that would be a new. BBC.
That'd be huge.
BBC says Doctor Who's new showrunner and the new Doctor, whoever they may be, will bring radical change. Yeah. And that's the whole story. That's it. I mean, that's the whole story.
That's what we got last time.
What a non-story.
Right. Mm-hmm. And isn't that what we got when Matt Smith and Stephen Moffat joined? Was radical change? Like, isn't that just the way it is?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Paul. Okay, I see what you're saying. I didn't realize you didn't know it was Why the Last Man. Yeah.
You must have been gone was it last episode we talked about it?
It was a couple episodes we talked about it. Yeah.
Does that mean he hasn't listened to our old podcast? Because we totally reviewed Why the Last Man.
You know, we put these up on podcast feed. You can go to grawlixpodcast.com, which GRAWLIX podcast.com, and check out the audio replays if you like, or the video replays are also posted there, or go to any podcast directory or anywhere you find podcasts and search us up. We're there.
Where we used to read books, and you can hear us talk about them.
That's right.
Yep, including Why the Last Man.
Yeah.
If you're on a podcast directory that tells you like the episode numbering and stuff, you'll notice all the numbered episodes. Those are the ones we used to talk about comics. Ever since then, these are all bonus episodes, and I've marked them appropriately. We have more bonus episodes than regular episodes at this point. Okay. I'm trying to think of what else was there.
I don't know, but they got chocolate rain in my head. The comments
section. Rain.
I mean, I know that it shouldn't be that, but that's what it is. Yeah.
Oh, real quick, I'm gonna do a thing that we never do, but since I don't know how the video is gonna work next week, I should take advantage of it now. But here, hold for a brief word from our sponsor. It's not really our sponsor, but if it makes money, we make money. So we'll be right back in 20 seconds. There we go. There's a commercial.
That wasn't ominous at all.
I had to manually remove us each from the video thing, and because it didn't fill the whole frame, but it's working. Matt says, "Oh yeah, I want that shirt." Well, I don't know. Hopefully, I don't forget to remove this from the audio version. For audio listeners, we have a new shirt. It's got a cute earth, and it's threatening. That you need to take care of it, or it's going to kill us all. So, Paul also wants that shirt.
I love adorable, dangerous things, or not necessarily dangerous even, but adorable, threatening things. Yeah, it's so great.
Yeah, it's a cute earth. But he's got a serious message, and you can get it at strangerswithshirts.com or strangerswitht-shirts.com, letter T. I just usually say the other one because I don't have to explain that it's just T-shirts, not whatever, you know.
Yeah.
Go there, buy a shirt.
Or two.
Yep. There we go. There's our sponsored message. Sponsored by Melanie and me.
Mm-hmm.
Jesse, what do you got? You got something coming up, or you got something to sell?
No.
God, dang it.
I don't think so. If I do, I forgot already.
I think Matt just made us a new T-shirt. Adorable things like adorable threatening, like kittens with machine guns.
We did kind of have something similar to that planned.
We do have a cute kitten one coming up, but it's not that. And I can't.
One of my favorite T-shirts that I wish I still had was based on. This is relevant because it's tied into Civil War, which is a Marvel comic book. that they turned into a Captain America movie for whatever reason. And then there was a webcomic that was basically the tortoise and the hare, but they did it Civil War style. So that like the rabbit and the turtle were like trying to kill each other to also augment this foot race that they were doing. And so my favorite t-shirt was this turtle, and he had a bazooka, and it was super basic, super simple, just green and then black line art of a turtle with a bazooka. And that was quite the conversation starter.
Right. Nice. Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of something like with a monkey in a tank.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That may have been an early influence, I don't know.
Nice.
I can't claim it wasn't. Then the rabbit shirt was like a rabbit with an Uzi, and man, this guy just knew what he was doing, because if you bought like the shirt, it was also like a vote for your team. So if you were Team Turtle and you bought the shirt, you were really helping the turtle side win this race.
That's smart.
Right?
Yeah.
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's good marketing.
Yep.
Hey Melanie.
Yeah.
What should we be amazed about?
It's so hard to decide. There's one I'm not going to talk about, but wormholes and entanglement make gravity. Look it up if you're interested. I'm going to go with the one that Paul had sent that I think people might be more interested in, and it's just that labs have grown organoids, like small kind of brains, but not exactly. And now they have not really eyes, but they have structures that can sense light, and it's the beginning of eyeballs. Which
are these organic things or?
Yeah, they're yes,
okay,
they are.
Okay.
They're organic and they're grown. And
that's what Krangs, because this is how we get Krangs.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of controversy over them because they grow brains out of human cells, but they're not full brains. So they don't have consciousness, so it's okay. But it's how do we really know? Anyway, it's a thing. It's a thing that they do. So, but now they're growing them with the beginnings of eyeballs, so they can kind of sense the world, which is. I don't know if that's better or worse. If you were just like, if it were consciousness, would it be better for it not to have any knowledge of the outside world, or now it can sense it? Is that better or worse? I don't know, but it's happening.
Couldn't see it coming.
So yeah.
Oh, that's not that. Wait. Oh, okay. That's not a bad comment. That's not the one I meant to click, but that works. The labs are growing. It's people. They're growing people. Yeah, we're gods now. It's cool.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how this makes me feel. I got a full on Muppet face.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, no, it's interesting. That's a good story for sure. It is weird. It's definitely weird. It's weird to make a living organic. It's different than the usual, like, we are gods, because yeah, it's just different. It's
yeah,
like, it's not even a creature. It's a thing.
Yeah, I do understand. I understand. Like, I don't like torturing animals or anything like that. I really think it's horrible.
But we brought them into this world. We could take them out.
Well, no, but I kind of understand. No.
Oh, my heart.
But I kind of understand people's reasoning for why we need it. Stuff like this, and I guess if you're gonna grow something, you want it to grow something very human-like, so you could test what it would actually do to a human. But yeah, it would, especially if a brain. If it was some other organ, I might not really care. But if you're gonna try and grow a brain, that has it's much more moral weight to me than other things.
Yeah, if you're gonna grow a consciousness of some kind.
Yeah.
This is a super science, and nothing good will come of it, but it will be pretty cool for a moment. before it's a total horror show.
Right.
It's already a horror show. That's super science.
I would think if we had an appropriate, I'm sorry, I'm answering a question in the comments. If there
Which one?
were an appropriate housing compartment inside of a Muppet, we could put them in Muppets and have puppets and have sentient Muppets. Yes, that'd be fun. I don't think we have ever really learned from sci-fi like we should have, or we wouldn't be splicing genes and doing all the weird stuff we still do. And do they still make clones? I know it's a thing that we can do. Do we do it? I'm not even sure anymore.
And if not, why not? We need to.
Bruce Lee clones. We've talked about this. They're doing it wrong. Who needs a CGI James Dean? We could make a real one.
Right?
Cloning people just to have.
Yeah. Let's just start making extra Samuel L. Jacksons just because.
We're full on in ridiculous sci-fi satire world, so let's just embrace it. We're gonna make brains. We're gonna clone actors. We're gonna clone them while they're still alive. I want a movie starring nothing but Samuel L. Jackson.
And call it that. Clone them while they're still alive. That's the name of the movie.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Imagine how much easier it'd be to do something like I don't know, like Coming to America or whatever, where all the actors are like the same guy. You wouldn't have to have like
we'd put Eddie Murphy out of a job forever.
Right? Yeah.
You're like, yeah, it's Eddie Murphy, except it's not. It's his clone.
Mm-hmm.
It's another Eddie Murphy.
Would you have to give them all different names, or just be like number one, number two, number
be
three?
Like that. Speaking of Spider-Man again, it'd be like Peter B. Parker. Like, this is Samuel L. Jackson, but he wears sweatpants.
Mm-hmm.
Samuel M. Jackson. Samuel Q. Jackson.
Samuel M.F. Jackson.
Yeah, how many F-bombs would there be in a clone Sam Jackson movie?
There'd be one that just couldn't swear at all.
All right, I feel like we could keep talking, but we should probably stop. Is there anything else? Anything I'm forgetting?
No.
Paul says, so we basically just confirmed Venture Brothers are real. I randomly, speaking of, started rewatching Venture Brothers. Not like a hardcore rewatch. I got like 3 or 4 episodes in. Man, that show's wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Just, I'm glad it's mentioned. So I can tell you all to go watch Venture Brothers. It's on HBO Max. Go watch it. That's not a sponsor. We're not paid by HBO. Yeah, I'd love to be paid by HBO. HBO, give us money.
Mm-hmm.
We'll shill.
How many times did we mention an HBO property today?
Lots.
Oh man,
Venture Brothers. We talked about Game of Thrones. We talked about
that Reminiscence is a Warner Brothers
Harley
thing.
Quinn.
Yeah. Which now that you mention it, what they end up doing with some of the characters has a very Venture Brother feel to me, which is part of the reason I like it.
Oh, and Harley Quinn?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. Yeah, Harley Quinn, that its best qualities make it feel similar to Venture Brothers.
Are you watching Titans too? Like, because they're doing like Jason Todd things. I guess.
No, I haven't. I had watched the first season ages ago, and I haven't watched anything beyond that. I should. When's Doom Patrol coming back? I know there's another season coming. That's the best show.
Yeah.
Yeah, Maddie D. They should comp you on HBO Max, but not the ad tier.
No,
correct.
No.
Actually, I just dropped HBO at Max for a little bit because I'll get it back again, but gotta trim those finances back.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
All the streaming, it gets expensive. You know what though? And that was a thing that like ages ago, I was like, eventually we're gonna have all these streaming services. It's gonna become the new cable. And cable's gonna be gone. Well, cable's not gone, but it is like the new cable. But
At least Hulu is.
a definite. Oh yeah, well, Hulu. I don't like Hulu. Okay. A benefit though, you can't just drop like the random package of cable
That's true.
for a
That's
month
true.
or two.
This
if
is
you don't
still
wanna pay
better.
for it.
This is still better.
It is still
Yeah.
better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Paul says Archer's back on FX. Oh yeah, Melanie would be excited about that.
I am excited about that.
I
This is how we get cranks.
There was something I had kind of hoped to watch before this episode, but we didn't get a chance. So maybe we'll talk about it next week. There's the Witcher prequel animated movie thing that we had mentioned not too long ago. That's out on Netflix, so we'll have to take a peek at that. Check that out sometime.
All right.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for watching. Thanks everybody in the future for listening. As I mentioned before, you can go to grawlixpodcast.com, GRAWLIX podcast.com for more great stuff like this.
Mm-hmm.
Or links to where you can consume it at a place you like better than our website, because I get it.
Yep.
But if you're Mephisto or a Scroll, don't
even.
Well, I mean, it's a download, so.
Oh, you know what? Melly's got a good point. If you're like a Scroll and can figure out how to like count as multiple downloads, just go around downloading it.
All right.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Take it easy. Have a great weekend, and we will talk to you in the future. Hashtag. And instantly, Matt's heart. He had a little pain in the future.
Oh my God.
I remember that.
Oh, is this episode 101? No.
It's episode 99.834. All right. Take it easy, everybody. Bye.
Bye.